What's going on, everybody? This is Big Chucky from Rogue Phoenix Gaming, and in this video we're going to be building Warhammer 40,000 models for the first time, and we're also going to be playing Warhammer 40,000 for the first time. So stay tuned, guys, and let's get it started. So me and a couple of my buddies, we're all going to be selecting armies, and we're going to start off with 100 to 150 points, and each and every single month we'll add 100 or 150 points into the army, so that way by the end of the year we all have generally roughly around 2,000 points. So I had to sit there and think to myself, like, what type of army am I gonna select? What am I gonna do? So I wanted to try to do something that was a little easier just to kind of get started. And I went ahead and selected Space Marines. More specifically, I went with the chapter of the Dark Angels. Their story was pretty cool, different color scheme that I'm used to, so I definitely wanted to kind of give that a shot and see what type of ideas I can bring in terms of color schemes, new color schemes, and also, have some sick-ass models come to the table. So if I remember correctly, everybody started with a start collecting box. I was actually the only odd man out. I already had models of my own. I had a box of Assault Intercessors and a box of Eliminators. To make it a start collecting box, I went ahead and actually just bought a Primaris Chaplain, and I bought some Dark Angel upgrades just to get us started. So with everything that we had, I went ahead and actually got everything set up, and let's assemble these models. Let's get it together. One of the main lessons I learned is to make sure to take my time. I unfortunately unboxed a lot of the miniatures and really didn't have a place to put them. Not only that, I couldn't really take time to actually paint everything in the way that I wanted to. So that ended up being a really big Achilles heel for me, which definitely sucked. The first base coat was with Caliban Green under a brown primer. I kept the miniatures within a priming strip just so that way I can have more access with the airbrush to do the first thin base coat with the green directly onto the models. I then took it upon myself to take off the models and do them assembly line style for the second base coat. Once the green was set in, I went ahead and used Nun Oil to wash the miniatures, but I noticed that it wasn't darkening in the areas that I needed. So I went ahead and tried to use Dark Angels Green, a contrast paint, to see if the paint will be able to darken some of the areas that I wanted. Most importantly, the bolt areas and the back of the legs and most of the lines around the armor. Once the Dark Angels Green contrast was dry, I went ahead and base coated black underneath the armor, under the knees and under the arms. I then took a different approach with base coating the shoulders and base coating the front of the power armor. I used Morghast bone to base coat those areas. I thought that was actually a pretty cool thing to kind of do, just to kind of see what it would look like when the front of the power armor was a little bit lighter rather than using black or using red. Once that was done, I went ahead and base coated red for the sword and the pistols. Also, I base coated the eyes. Finally, after base coating the red, I went ahead and took the time to base coat all the silver parts of the sword and the silver parts of the pistols. With the red, bone, and silver done, we went straight into shading. We didn't do any highlights on these models. We didn't do any extra on these models. These models were only battle ready and not parade ready. Unfortunately, I was in a bit of a time crunch in terms of wanting to get these models out and ready for the tabletop for our first game. So I really had to hunker down and get things right where they needed to be. Now with shading and everything finished, went ahead into varnishing and basing. Overall, the units came out pretty good. There definitely were some lessons learned here, and I'm actually grateful that I had the chance to paint these Space Marines along with my Eliminators and my Primaris Chaplain. As I mentioned, lessons that I learned will definitely be applied the next time I generate another unit. I have an idea as to what the new unit is going to be for next month, so stay tuned for that, guys. Alright guys, so now these units are actually done. They're ready for the tabletop, so let's get them into our quote-unquote battle report. Overall, the game was extremely fun. I had a great time. We really didn't know what we were doing, but when we fiddled around with the data sheets and learned about the hit rolls, wound rolls, and things of that nature, it got a little bit easier to understand, but it was extremely a great time nonetheless. I definitely enjoyed playing the game, and I'm actually itching to play again the next time. Alright guys, with that, that's going to be the end of the video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be safe, everybody. Bless.